reviving the UP ROTC. Before the implementation of the NSTP law, the ROTC program was mandatory for all students enrolled in the tertiary level as part of the requirement for graduation. Every university had a corps of cadets and officers to depend on during times of disaster and calamity. Every school like UP had a standby force that could be depended on for immediate response whenever necessary. The ROTC units fulfilled their functions through various services. They help provide peace and order in school campuses and gave color and honor details during school functions. During nationwide polls, they are deputized to ensure peaceful and orderly elections. In the aftermath of typhoons and other calamities, they provide aid and spearheaded relief operations in coordination with local government units. ROTC graduates provided a continuous stream of the much-needed young volunteers in the civilian and the different reserve branches of service of the military. When the National Service Training Program, or the NSTP law, RA 9163, was implemented in 2002, the once mandatory ROTC became merely one of the three programs that the students could choose from, along with the Civic Welfare Training Service, or CWTS, and the Literacy Training Service, LTS. The statistics for ROTC enrollment nationwide declined tremendously. As it turned out, as in the UP system, more than 90% of college students chose to enroll under the LTS and CWTS programs. The remaining 10% of the students who chose the ROTC became the minuscule pool for the civilian and military reserve force. In the succeeding years until the present, the number of students enrolling in the ROTC continued to decline. The number of volunteers and recruits to the reserve force are now at an alarming low. In appreciation of this problem, many schools have steadily revived their enrollment. The University of Santo Tomas, from where the ROTC abolition clamor started, already has an enrollment of close to 1,000. Some other state-run universities like the PUP has over 2,000. They included ROTC on a take-it-or-leave-it basis in the curriculum for courses in criminology, maritime, business administration, civil, mechanical, and electrical engineering. Their academic boards have justified that such degrees needed the stern disciplines, management, and leadership training only from the ROTC program. They have also created, according to the NSTP law, a separate and distinct NSTP office for monitoring and evaluation of how the three component programs are being implemented so that mistakes from the past may never be repeated. Before the implementation of the law, the UP ROTC was the best unit ever in the country. It had more than 2,000 cadets and won almost all military stakes and competitions given by the AFP. It even bested the PMA in a close order drill competition held at the Luneta in the 1960s. It produced generals and other high-ranking officers in the AFP. The UP ROTC was a source of pride of the UP system, an institution producing the best leaders not only in the military, but more in industry and civilian endeavors where discipline, leadership, and management so requires. As they say, each generation has its own war to fight. This generation has to contend with natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, fires, and environmental degradation. A great number of typhoons struck the country, so much so that communities that needed assistance never got any when most needed. Military camps and establishments which had the capability were located in limited areas only. Immediate response was limited only to the areas in which they were based. Therefore, communities were left to fend for themselves. Each community was left to its own. The revival of the ROTC may be established along such priorities. A rebranding of its purely military image may now be geared towards a first responders program, which can specialize in disaster preparedness, first aid and basic medical first response, rope skills for high angle and water safety and rescue, local disaster management and organization, survival. Dynamics of what to do during floods, fires, and earthquakes. And at the same time, retaining basic military disciplines to implement the same when needed. The UP system may take the following steps. Number 1, install a new and vigorous ROTC program with the said ideals and promote enrollment by way of including ROTC in several freshman block sections of courses like civil, mechanical, electrical, and industrial engineering, social work and community development, business and public administration and governance, while still opening up vacant sections for all those interested. For example, if there are 5 freshman block sections in a particular course, we allot 2 sections with ROTC and the other 3 sections without it. So when the said 3 sections are filled up, then the rest shall enroll under the 2 sections with the ROTC. This quota system shall ensure UP's contribution to the national effort for national security. Moreover, when we closely examine the implementing rules and regulations of the NSTP law, it requires that all state-run colleges and universities to offer ROTC. This then would serve as UP's justification and compliance to this particular section of the law. Number 2, and most importantly, to be fully compliant and consistent with the law, the UP system must now create the required NSTP office to monitor and evaluate the implementation of the ROTC, CWTS, LTS, and the inclusion of the required 25-hour common module under the new revised implementing rules and regulations of the NSTP's 3 component programs.